Henry, how come characters like you and me aren't written with the concept of romance?
Well, I can't exactly give you the entire answer to that question because not even I know it, but I will go ahead and tell you what I do know. So part of the reason has to do with the fact that our creator doesn't believe in the concept of romance, but another part of the reason would be because stories that are written with this concept tend to flop. And not and also it doesn't apply to just stories. It also applies to characters and how they act. So, take the villain from Super Mario Brothers movie as an example. His entire motivation is surrounded by this concept. And this ruined him as a character, not just in the movie, but across media. People have memed this motivation to death, and his character overall, they kind of treat him as a joke, even though in the games he isn't a joke. He's a ruler that is a master of black magic, and yet, well, anyways, I'm getting off topic here. Um, but yeah, you can kind of see how this affected him. You can see how this kind of affected the movie. The movie started off at a mature, serious tone, and then once this concept was applied, the the tone just kind of went down. So I think that's kind of what our creator is going for. He wants to write stories that are at a more mature and serious tone. Stories that are suited for those 13 and up. Stuff that isn't for quote unquote for kids. So, as long as this concept isn't applied, it won't ruin how stories are written. In fact, in fact, it's because of this concept existing that people have used this to their advantage when writing stories. And because of that, it attracts more people who are driven by this concept. So you should stick with. So I think our creator, and I think this should apply to all stories, really. Not just the stories on this channel, but stories that are written in video games and in video game movies. They should stick with more platonic bonds rather than romantic ones. That way, it benefits everyone and doesn't drive people, and instead isn't, attracting people who are driven by that concept. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I guess I kind of do see your point now, but if that concept never existed, then how would our creator even exist right now if his parents didn't believe in this concept? You know?
Well, I kind of see where you're getting at here, but, you know, isn't it better that our creator isn't driven by this concept and is instead sticking with more platonic bonds? Not just in real life, but also when writing stories and characters like us. Not like not like the rest of, well, I guess some of these guys aren't written. I guess some of the guys here aren't written with the concept of romance, but that's what makes them good characters. The writers stuck with more. The writers written them to be more interested in forming platonic bonds instead of romantic ones.
Yeah. Though it kind of does make me wonder if our creator did believe in this dumb concept, then where would we be now? Where would we be now if we were written differently? Or would we be written differently if our creator believed in this concept?
Yeah, I don't really want to think about that. If our creator knew anything better, even if well, actually, no, he would never believe in the concept, but, he would probably stick with his beliefs of not believing in the concept and just keep writing us how we normally act, you know? Isn't that right, Spike? See, he gets it.
Yeah, you're right. It's better that we're not written with this dumb concept. As long as we stick with more platonic bonds, we're all set.